gentlemen, welcome to the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. I'm Nick McDaniel. He's Myron Fancher. How the heck are you, buddy?
Well, I'm refreshed, Nick. I'm all refreshed. I'm ready to go. We've been pestering each other about this episode, trying to get what we thought about it. There's a lot of things I don't think we're going to agree on again this week.
Probably not. I mean, hey, it just happens, and it's just that. By the way, I think that tends to be a trend in wrestling in general, where people don't agree on stuff. So, but look, whether it's weekly TV shows, whatever, you want to find out an opinion, I'm sure you can feel free that you can disagree. The best place to disagree is patreon.com/tappedOutPod. Because you know what? Hey, look, every week you're going to get a couple things that will really play out for you. One, for a free membership. Yeah, that's right. For a free membership, you're going to get the Georgia Wrestling Spotlight. You're going to get Phil Stamper's compiled list of all the shows all over the nation, everywhere. We put that up for him. Hey, look, tip your cap to that guy. He puts together probably, I would argue it's probably one of the best lists, if not the best list in Georgia indie wrestling, not Georgia, but nationwide indie shows all over the place. At the $1 level, you're going to get the show notes. And I mean, listen, dude, we had 11 pages for the Tapped In and the Georgia Spotlight stuff. I think 4 pages for this episode. So, hey, it's well worth it because we don't have time to get through all of it. That is absolutely for sure. But, of course, you guys know if you're a $5 or more, you get the weekly shows early. $10 or more, you get any content we produce on here. You get those early. And, of course, you get that digital collectible as well. And the $25 difference, you get all of that, and then you get that autographed 8x11.
I was I was jealous. I wanted me one of those autographs. Those things are so cool, Nick. We met the guys this weekend, talking to them about it. Wow, that's a great.
You had people trying to get one from you, trying to hey, can I get one of those?
Hey, can I buy one of those? I'm like, on a shirt. I'm like, well, we don't make shirts yet, but give Nick a minute.
Well, the other argument was he wanted I was like, hey, he kind of wants an image that I was like, that's why you got to sign up to be a member at the $25 level just to get it.
Yep.
And, hey, the $10 level, he could have got a digital image, and I really don't care if he put it on a shirt. That's on him, not on me. So, but anyway, look, this was a massive weekend. We're going to try to get through. I want to apologize. In the rotation, this should have been a real wrestling episode where we're covering a movie of some kind. We might get to it next week. We may just have to bump it all the way through to the rotation, but we literally had to just move it out of the way completely because
log jam.
It's so much stuff this weekend. Let's just start and try to quasi go through an order. Maybe I don't really know how you want to go, but let's start with obviously Saturday night main event WWE. Pause. First question. Too many commercials, man. That's what everybody's complaining about.
I watched it replay, which don't get me started on Peacock. You can't. I started while it was going on, but I was behind because I was working on something else. So I started trying to watch it, which is really hard to watch an event from behind. I hit the wrong thing to fast forward, locked out, could not get it to way after, wound up watching it on Sunday. This is so frustrating with dealing with Peacock. The interface is horrible. You don't get to watch events right after they happen, which I don't know. I mean, they do take the commercials out. So I don't know. Were there too many commercials in your opinion?
Well, I watched it, believe it or not. Your boy watched it on NBC. I actually watched it on DirecTV stream, actually on the like cable, but not cable, but but I stream it through whatever. I actually watched it just on regular. I didn't even put it on Peacock.
I should have DVR'd it on Peacock NBC and just watched it that way.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I was watching it live, so I was getting commercials no matter what. So it just was what it was.
When does that contract expire? Sorry, I don't mean to talk over you, but when does the contract with Peacock expire?
I still stand behind it. Somebody's gonna keep it. A streaming service is gonna keep it. Whether it's Hulu
Netflix,
or I just don't know that.
Netflix.
I don't know, man. I just don't think my personal opinion, and I'm gonna move on because I don't want to go long on this. I don't think Netflix is willing to part with the amount of money they're already paying. Like Peacock's already paying for this. Does that make sense? Like they're not going to bump up. Like if Netflix gets it, are you going to give them a home down discount because they already have everything else? Or are you going to, and guess what we know about TKO? That ain't happening.
No.
It's like,
no.
hey, if they're paying us, and I'm making numbers up. I'm fully aware, folks. If Peacock was paying them $500 million a year, Netflix is going to have to come off with that or more to get it. And are they going to bump up what they're already paying them that much to get it? The answer is no. But just me personally, by the way, I'm probably telling you I could be wrong. At least I'm admitting it up front, right? I don't think we ever get everything in the United States on Netflix. I don't think we ever see that day. Because I don't think Netflix is going to part with that much money.
I got to keep trying the VPN to do it. But what did you think of the show? What did you think?
It was a show. I mean, listen, and I saw people complaining like, "Hey, this is nothing more than an episode of Raw," and I was like, I'll push back. Here's what Saturday Night Main Event is, and for the most part, has always been. It's kind of in between. It's kind of between a Raw and kind of between a pay. It's not a PLE, but it's not a Raw. Like, we got a cage match, we got a world title match, we got Cena and Truth. Cena's not doing probably many, if any, Raw and SmackDown matches.
No. It's an event. A very hurtful
tag
event.
match. Yeah, very. Let me ask you this, though. I will say this. This is my pushback. And I say this with all due respect because I'm a massive fan of both women. I don't think the Vega and Green match should have been on the show.
They've done it before. They've had that match before. That's a rematch. I'm not saying leave Chelsea off WrestleMania like they did, but maybe that wasn't necessary. But they did do a lot of title stuff. I mean, but was the Becky Lynch and Bird's girl? Yeah, I can't remember her name anymore. It's just Bird's girl. But would that have been a better choice for this? For another women's?
Oh no, I got a more unpopular opinion. There should have only been that match should have just been pulled. And you just would have had the world title, the steel cage, Cena Truth, Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker.
Well, I had to pause it after John Cena hit poor R-Truth in the ding along, and then smacked him with a belt. This to me, the only thing I want to see out of this is I want to see like a Ghost of Christmas Past, where R-Truth comes along and he's John Cena's conscience. That helps him get through this horrible thing and helps him turn around. I thought I was going to get this here, but
I think we all were. Yeah, we all we it's too soon still. I get it, but look, let's just kind of work backwards super quick. We're not going to go. Obviously the Braun Breaker, Seth Rollins, Punk, Sami Zayn match completely set up to introduce Bronson Reed.
Yeah.
Plot hole central. Everybody's screaming, "Why would Bronson Reed and Seth Rollins become friends?" Literally. He put Seth Rollins out, beat a. Yeah. By the way, good answer last night on Raw. I appreciate that they acknowledged the plot hole and tried to fill the plot hole
with Paul Heyman doing it. So that's the best you're going to get. If Paul Heyman can't talk you through something, I would have rather seen Oba Femi.
No, I literally thought I here's the thing. Triple H likes Bronson Reed.
Yes.
He's going to invest in guys he likes. There's a reason, Aleister Black is back. It's like,
yeah, right, all that stuff. If they want that, it'll help Bronson Reed get over. It'll elevate his status. He's a Paul Heyman guy now.
You start kind of going into the equation of hey, if this is evolution, Seth Rollins is Triple H. Ric Flair was more of the Paul Heyman, and just from a leadership aspect, he wasn't real, the physical role, even though Ric Flair was physical. Then you got Randy and Batista, and you're trying to figure it all out. And guess what? The analogy almost works. Braun Breaker, multi-generational wrestler. Randy Orton was a you're taking I would say, and then Batista was the risk. Batista was the gamble. That's Bronson Reed. So the analogy's filling it out. Yeah.
It's a way to put people in the Hall of Fame. That's the way to get elevated to the Hall of Fame right there. So give it a shot.
I'll pump the brakes on Bronson Reed being a Hall of Famer, but I think it will help him tremendously. It increases his chances by having all parties involved that are. Vega and Green was not a fan. I did not think the match went well. It was what it was. Well, it just shouldn't have been there. I think it that match time rushed everything else on the show. I felt like everything else was rushed, because because you probably did have too many commercials in there, so everything else was rushed on the show. We talked about Cena and Truth. I mean, like, we kind of knew what we were getting. Cena's in the house only to finish out at the end, which we'll come back. Here's where we disagreed a little bit. Like, we had a conversation. Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre, Priest picking up the win by going out the cage door. But that's not where we disagreed. It was the commentary.
Jesse, okay? First off, nobody interrupts Lillian and makes me happy. Lillian is probably one of the one star me and you can always agree on her worth to wrestling. He talked over Lillian, and then he went into this thing about the cage. And no, I do not like the way WWE does cages. I grew up on Southern cage match wrestling. But if it's he shit all over Damian Priest for the way he did it. You said he's a heel commentator. I said he was a guy that shouldn't talk about the way his company does that, unless that's an angle. Is that an angle? I don't know. What?
Listen, he's a heel commentator. That we just don't have him really anymore. Corey Graves was like the closest thing we had to that. So here was there was a part of me that I like. Look, there was a part of it I agreed with. The whole part about like, since when can you go out the cage? Okay, that's you haven't watched wrestling in a long time, buddy. We understand. Now, however, for him to like take shots at Damian Priest by basically taking a cowardly way and going out the door and instead of beating him, okay, that is something he would have said about Hogan. It had that portrayed out even back in the the nostalgia Saturday Night Main Event stuff. So I didn't have a problem with him saying Damian Priest was a coward by going out the door or whatever. Now, I had a problem with him not knowing that, hey, that is something you could do.
Yeah. It's time to take Peepaw's car keys. He's just not for this audience.
I think they do a good job because here's the thing. It doesn't bother me him up on the podium with Joe.
Yeah.
Commentary is a little bit of a different problem because like you said, I took a real big issue with him talking over Lillian right through the thing. If I was somebody in the back, I just cut his mic. So so Lillian's introduction is crystal clear, I was like, that was the thing I had a real issue with. The other stuff I'm kind of like, I mean, he's being a heel. I get it, whatever.
But it was a great time. It was a great timing for the whole thing. 2.5 hours.
Yeah, I mean, look, ran time. I mean, look, it run pretty good. Before we get through, I want to ask you, Drew McIntyre's basically, they say he's done for a little while. He's going to take some time off. Good for him. Heal those nagging injuries, come back, because now you'll be ticked off that
you lost in a cage. You've got the perfect reason. And if it were, you can put that Jesse Ventura soundtrack over your montage coming back.
One concerto later, see you in a few weeks or months or whatever it may be. Obviously, the world title, but we're going to pick up the pace here a little bit. Jey Uso, Logan Paul. By the way, folks, I don't know if y'all have noticed, Logan Paul's not a bad wrestler.
No.
A lot of people are trying to, give him a lot of grief or whatever. But clearly, all this was used as a setup to now we're going to get Jey Uso, Cody Rhodes, Logan Paul, and John Cena in a tag match at Money in the Bank.
I'm happy.
Well, I'm going to ask you why, because there's a lot of people on social media that are really not happy that
moving parts,
wasting a John Cena appearance on this match that we're talking about.
John Cena and Logan Paul are going to clash here because John Cena said you'd lose to a YouTuber and da-da-da. I'm ready for it. Okay. I'm ready for this. I want to see all these moving parts because all moving parts means more stuff comes out. I'm excited about this.
I'm for it. I don't really care because if the best thing that John Cena can do on his way out is literally bump up against and rub as many people as he can, Jey Uso, Logan Paul, all these people along the way. By the way, again, another tangent I want to ask you. Have you realized, is Jey Uso in 4 feuds at one time?
I got to go back through the math, but you might be right.
I'm sitting here trying to do it because he's in a feud with Logan Paul. He's in a feud with Gunther still, apparently.
Yeah.
He's in a feud with John Cena, maybe, because this goes down on Saturday Night Main Event. And maybe we remind y'all that there's some unresolved issues here with him and Seth Rollins still that they haven't like blown off.
Well, if you're going to counter program,
four. He's in four. By the way, that's your champion, folks. He's in 4 feuds at one time. Good booking. I'm actually a fan.
If you want to criticize him, if you want to criticize Jey Uso as a champion, they're making him right now. They're explaining to you right now why he is the champion.
Yeah. So, look, overall, it's fine. Look, I get it, folks. You want my answer, my brutal, honest truth? There's too much damn wrestling on TV. I mean, and it's like, it's really tough to just do the math on how much content they create. It's not going to be
Thank you for admitting that in public, Nick. Because I've been wanting to say it, and I didn't want to sound ungrateful, but there's too much wrestling on TV. Because if I just mainly watch WWE and I get 8 hours minimum a week, just of that. Just too much wrestling on TV. And now I got to keep up with TNA too.
Yeah, and because it makes sense. Yeah, but speaking of which, that's the big news for part 2, NXT Battleground. Trick Williams defeats Joe Hendry to become the TNA World Heavyweight Champion. There is a contracted WWE wrestler who is now the TNA World Champion. I mean, listen, I get it, folks. Bunch of other stuff happened on this show. This is what everybody's talking about the next day.
Yeah, this was your big draw. I mean, there were great matches, but this is the one you're talking about. Can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
Would Joe Hendry be a lot better if they put him into that Shawn Michaels oven for a little bit and develop more of his character? He's a great guy, and he's a good wrestler, but time with Shawn Michaels NXT would be the best thing this guy could get, in my opinion. Give him the time to stew.
Listen, here's the problem. That's coming. He's got a TNA contract. He's got to ride out. You can't tell me that, like WrestleMania, this, and a lot of this. By the way, conspiracy theory, you know why this match happens and goes down the way it does? WWE can test the waters and go like, hey, what kind of team player is Joe Hendry?
Well, I believe in him.
So he's clearly a team player and is willing to do what he is. And I think eventually he's there. Look, at the end of the day, here's what's going to happen, by the way. We're getting a rematch. Joe Hendry's getting a rematch. I know there's other people that are going to trickle in here and get in the way and kind of dang it, but we're getting a rematch for this. And guess where it's probably going to be, Myron?
TNA.
It's going to be probably on a TNA pay-per-view.
Massive draw. Because now you've got something on top of what you've ever had. You've got a WB star with your title. Beating him on TNA, beating him at your pay-per-view is a big deal. I like that. But, I mean, I don't even know if Hendry's the best TNA pickup ever. I have to disagree if someone says that it's not Jordan Grace. How? AJ Styles. But,
oh, by the way, side note, I want to backpedal up. Your boy had to Google something while you were talking. July 20th is Slammiversary, their big show that they run in the middle of the summer.
And that'll be after the big NXT show, the
Great American Bash.
Great American Bash.
They do have June 6th. They have Against All Odds. I think that's too soon to flip it back immediately. If I'm them, build Trick Williams for a month, 2 months, whatever, as champion, and then have Joe Hendry get his rematch at Slammiversary. That's just me, because you want to talk about that's a payback. So wait, on our biggest show of the year, we're going to get one of the WWE signed guys on our pay-per-view in the main event against our champion, and everybody's pulling for our guy to win his championship back. Yes. The answer to that is yes, by the way.
It was hard to see at that stadium who was more over, Trick or Joe, though. Trick is super over. I think he's been slated for a big call-up, but I think they've got better things to do with him and call him up. And the other person I think that they've got better things to do with than call him up is Stephanie Vaquer. she was so important. They left her in NXT. She's the bridge between NXT and the AAA, in my opinion. She wrestled a phenomenal match. And then they had the AAA stars there to draw heat for that. How insane is that? How insane? AAA stars, they acknowledge them, they give them a segment. And on top of it, we get this phenomenal match. Was that not your favorite match on that card?
Oh, yeah, easily. I thought it was the best match of the night. Wasn't even those two. Here's the thing, folks. I hope you enjoyed this match because you're going to see it for a while. Like, this is something that you're going to see I think, for years to come. Yeah. I think these two, could you argue? Like, I get it. There's this tier up. By the way, here's the problem. Everybody thinks I'm crazy when I'm like, why would you move Akira and Jordan Grace up at all for any time in the foreseeable future for the next year or two?
No.
It's so log jammed, like you said, about unless you're going to move some of that talent that's up on the main roster, just let them build your NXT brand even more.
Well, Roxanne Perez is a perfect example. They didn't move her up till they really needed her for the storyline with Liv, in my opinion. Okay? They had her down there. She was 2-time champion. She was down there a while, even though she was big time. And the tray full of nuggies, not just a box of nuggies, the tray full of nuggies last night, man. That's killing me. All them nuggets is killing me. Dominic kills me. Number 1 star on the roster, Dominic Mysterio. I don't care what anybody says.
I will say he's the future. I think he is a huge part of their future on many, many levels. I think him being able to go to AAA, him being able to work. Can you imagine that Dominic and TNA talking down to those people like, why am I here? Makes a lot of sense.
What do you think about
overall
Nova Femme, though?
It was all right. I mean,
Def Randy,
I get it.
I mean, I'm sorry, but he's got potential. He's got all around. I don't think this is where he needed to be the guy, though. Obafeme's the guy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He's got Obafemi needs a feud. That's the issue that I have with him right now. And I get it. Miles Bourne. Hey, I get it. I'm not knocking it. It just didn't feel like that any remote thought that he was going to lose.
No, I knew.
You see what I mean? Like, I always need a match.
Not ready.
Where, I mean, yeah. I just feel like that's what I want. It's from a pay-per-view stuff.
High drama. PLE. You want to see a believable win-loss, wasn't a squash, but it wasn't the super match.
Exactly. Also running this past weekend, we are running long. AEW Double or Nothing was the big show, so we're going to hit the highlight notes here. Is what it is. When we talk about highlights, listen, I understand it's not for everybody, Myron, that the AEW show is not for you. I get it. But the anarchy in the arena, look, it is a spectacle, like it is what it is, with explosions, thumbtacks. There's just, by the way, crowd super into it. Your baby faces win. Shock. It is what it is. But if you haven't checked it out, Swerve broke out his new shoes. Did some smart cross branding there. I ain't gonna lie to you. That's pretty.
I like cross branding, but I don't know what Reebok will want with thumbtacks. Hey, for the people that like this kind of thing, this is the kind of thing those people like. I don't dislike it. It's just not for me.
Well, here's my thing, though. I will say this to you. I agree on one thing with you in the sense of they're fun to watch, but it's almost, brace yourself, Myron, it's almost becoming like Hell in a Cell. There's only so much you can do. Like, how far are you willing to go? Like, if you do a regular Hell in a Cell match and something crazy doesn't happen in the match, everybody complains. Oh, the last one was better. Oh, this one was. If you don't throw somebody off of the top, well, Mick Foley and Undertaker were. I get it. It was. But you cannot do that everything. And I think these kind of fall in that same avenue where you got to be careful about, like, hey, how far do we go? Because eventually we're at the line and the guys can't keep going past that. That's all I'm saying.
Now, the thing is, I could really watch this pay-per-view just for fun. I don't know the storylines, but this pay-per-view just looked fun. There was some cool stuff on it that might have been enjoyable had I just sat down and watched it.
Look, Paige versus Ospreay, phenomenal match. I mean, I'm not surprised. Like, by the way, folks, pause again, I'll sidebar. I get it. Ospreay's a lunatic if he thinks that he was just kind of like, we are way better wrestling. than WWE by miles. Like that. Look, it came out. He said
Maybe.
that. There's,
WWE is much better sports entertainment, though.
I don't want to beat Ospreay up a lot on this, and I'll say this why. He is defending the company he works for, and I admire that part of it. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
This match, however, was really, really good. There was a really good story with this one. Hangman Page needed this win. He didn't just want this win, got this win, and he's going to climb back into the title picture, and he will obviously be he will be challenging Jon Moxley at All In Texas, which we're going to discuss here in a minute. Mercedes Moné, Jamie Hayter. Look, I don't get it, folks. Everybody talking about this Hogan, Moné thing where she just won't job to anybody. I don't know if you're aware, she just dropped one of her belts recently. So she will.
One of them.
She did drop one of them. It is what it is. But look, I get it. Everything's gearing up to it. She is clearly going to All In to face Toni Storm, who picked up obviously another win defending the Women's World Championship. I have a friend reach out to me and said, Toni Storm clips are filling my feed, and I'm here for it. Like, she is absolutely the most they don't watch her matches, by the way. They were just saying the clips of her promos and her mic work. They're like, I am here for it, and it's probably the most entertaining thing they have in their company right now.
It's entertaining and different, and it's more sports entertainment than wrestling. But then she can wrestle really good, so who knows?
Yeah, she did a great job. The match itself was what it was, and I think this literally, by the way, no disrespect to any of the talents in both of these women's matches, these were placeholders to get them to the All In. That's all this was.
And I want to see Mercedes and Toni Storm. I know what Mercedes can do. I think that's a very effective benchmark for Toni Storm. Just give her a shot.
Or we're going to find the reverse. Or we're going to see as Moné actually, who we thought she was, because up to now a lot of people think she's not delivering like she did. So anyway, look, we mentioned All In, and look, literally as we were about to hit record, some news broke and changed even some of the notes. So All In was scheduled for July the 12th.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously that night originally. It's a pay-per-view. They're on They're All In Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
Well, WWE announces, hey, there's a Saturday night main event that night on free TV on NBC / or on your Peacock if you have the streaming service. All In, AEW, fine. They slide it to like 3 p.m. We'll get out of this. We'll get out of the crosshairs. By the way, there was a rumor, Myron, that Mercedes Moné and Toni Storm might main event this show.
I think it's positive.
I think it's a great move, by the way. Oh, but WWE says, we'll do an Evolution pay-per-view on Sunday. It's all women. So we're going to steal the thunder that you're main eventing because it'll be the first women's main event on AEW pay-per-view, whatever. All right, we'll just run a whole show of women. Nothing.
I'm really excited about this because I think this show will be phenomenal. But if they're talking about Jade and Charlotte, if they're talking about Nikki Bella, boy, they're starting to pull. And what about Goldberg? Pull. Get all this stuff in here to make it not missable, to make it insane. So the people that are WWE fans and AEW fans, where do you think they're going to go with this?
Well, there's your thought. You brought it up. So now the rumors are, because Goldberg did in an interview, he mentioned, believe it or not, because it came up about, like, was he going to do his, up north, some of these pay-per-views. They were like, hey, you should retire. SummerSlam. They brought up, hey, are you going to do your retirement at SummerSlam? Goldberg's words, not mine. I'm not doing my retirement up north. I'm going to do it in the south somewhere where the people, my people. I'm like, all right. Because guess what? He ain't wrong. WCW based, whatever. Oh, wait.
Football player?
So Saturday night main event's going to be in Atlanta? So the rumors have started. Hey, that's where his retirement match will be, is at Saturday night main event. Kudos to him, by the way, at being on free TV and on Peacock, not a PLE, hidden behind a paywall somewhere. So now you've already had all these things kind of come into play. AEW is supposed to be a night show. They're going to do a free show on NBC. They moved to 3. Hey, we're going to have a women main event, our show. That's fine. We'll do a whole pay-per-view for women on Sunday. So now you're at 3 o'clock. Well, WWE says, so they announced NXT, the Great American Bash. It's going to be the same weekend. Well, literally it says no time yet. In our notes, I'm reading our notes. I wrote, prior to this, the notes are in here. I wouldn't be shocked if it becomes Saturday afternoon, head-to-head with All In, like they did with Battleground versus Double or Nothing. Like where they were head-to-head running the same time.
In Atlanta, at Center Stage, for a WCW pay-per-view. Nick, the first time I laughed off this stuff, this weekend made me think about it. But looking at this is counter programming. Okay? This is putting something out there to detract from your competition. And why? Why do they need to do this so much?
Do you know how you keep somebody from overtaking you? Don't let them become what you consider a threat to begin with. I get it, folks. Here's the thing. I understand the popular thing is, they live rent-free in WWE's head or blah, blah, blah. You know what? Have you ever noticed that sometimes when and it's not the case, but have you ever seen the way McDonald's just slaps up some restaurants in random places out of nowhere? And you're like, wait, there's a couple of restaurants right here that are doing really, really well. McDonald's goes, you know what we do really well? We capitalize on the fact that we realize there is a good market for food right here. And
you did the market research for us.
Thank you.
Predatory?
I do believe they are trying to cut their legs off before they become a real problem. I don't think I'm not knocking AEW. I think they're a good product. But if you can cut their legs off early, they don't become a problem. Now, here's the difference. I agree with Tony Khan. I don't know if you caught the clip from the press conference. Somebody asked him about this. His response was simple. We haven't seen this kind of counter programming since JCP, since Jim Crockett Promotions, when they were trying to counter Starrcade with Survivor Series and all that kind of stuff. The difference is there's a massive difference between these two scenarios. The Khan family, again, Tony Khan specifically, obviously, they got a little bit more money than Jim Crockett Promotions had to go head-to-head with WWE. Now, are they willing to? Is the question. I think Tony Khan will. That's the problem. When anybody takes shots at anything of AEW, my argument is they aren't going anywhere until Tony Khan decides he doesn't want to do this anymore, and he doesn't strike me. He loves wrestling to the point. Look, we knew some stuff that he proved to me. He loves wrestling.
Fanatically dirt sheet level guy. Beyond any level I've ever gotten to, ascended to. I can never be as high a level wrestling fan as Tony Khan is. That man is.
You think he's letting his wrestling promotion go no matter what kind of...
No,
it would have to be disastrous.
He's going to spend a shitload of money, though, counter programming this stuff. It's just going to get bigger and bigger. And the Bugs Bunny Daffy Duck movie you can't see anymore, where they always just one up. This is the Monday Night War.
As long as he's getting the TV rights deal that he has, and it's like if the TV rights alone is breaking him even, he ain't going anywhere, folks. No. That's all I'm saying. He's not going anywhere. I don't believe so. But again, it has come out. Guess what? Yes, Great American Bash will run Saturday afternoon. It'll probably start at 2. Here's why I'm guessing 2. They want the hour jump on All In.
Yeah. Get you watching so you don't change the channel.
Like why if you're a last minute purchaser and you're already watching the Great American Bash, why are you going to go into your thing and then pay for wrestling when you're watching a free show? And I'm guessing they're going to tease the crap out of their main events and stuff early in the show to get you. Their best matches are going to be at the end during the show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, hey, we're going to
open with something crazy. WWE's got really good at opening with something crazy. The middles of the shows have been, bleh. Yeah. But they opened with that women's triple threat. Remember that? Didn't they open with Jey Uso and Gunther?
Oh, yeah. I'm saying they have, but I'm just saying in general, they're going to save something heavy to keep you from leaving. Don't give them everything in the first hour because we want to keep them coming back and staying. So that's the plan, I get. So, but here's the argument. Tapped outpod@gmail.com. Here's what I want to know. I don't know, and we've had this conversation for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years now. I don't know how much they really overlap anymore.
No, they're different products. There was some flippy shit on the NXT pay-per-view, but not to the level you see on half of a AEW pay-per-view. It's the athletic.
Hold on. So I hate to interrupt. I want to ask you this because you just said something. I want to ask you. NXT is closer to AEW than WWE is.
Much closer.
The main
Much
roster.
closer.
That's why that's the show that goes head to head with it.
Yeah.
I think there's more crossover in NXT and
a fan base.
AEW.
I would agree 100%. I would agree 100%. Because I mean, the ticket sales are about even for their shows. I mean, for their big shows. NXT is a developmental program, but it's got a lot of pop. It's got a lot of talent. It's got people who are not microphone ready and people who are not polished, but they're phenomenally talented athletes. And AEW does that. They have those phenomenally talented athletes that aren't sports entertainers yet. They're wrestlers. Jordan Grace and Stephanie Vaquer, there's not an AEW fan that wouldn't have been happy with that match, in my opinion.
No, I would agree with that. I would say you're probably correct. So AEW is hot right now. I will tell you that. I think the numbers are showing it. Their crowds are creeping a little bit.
Yes.
And look, off air, we had a conversation, and this is kind of where I want to address it here before we get into the WrestleMania stuff. Yeah, folks, we are going to address the WrestleMania stuff and then get out of here. But we were talking about, you brought up the fact that the middles of the WWE shows are like, they're just not holding you very well.
Yeah.
My question to you was, for the past year, maybe a little over, well, it's been a little over, for the past year, let's call it, has the massive number in ticket sales, all of the money they're getting from the Netflixes and everything, the merchandise sales that are just off the charts, even critically, believe it or not, they're getting pats on the back for how good this angle is and how long the story is. We started seeing at WrestleMania, I thought, the first crack in that whole force field that they had around them when the John Cena thing didn't go the way the fans wanted it to. That was, to me, like the first real crack. Little things, meh, 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 meh. That's what internet wrestling fans do. Complain a little bit about everything. My question was, have they been patted on the back too long? Are they losing a little bit of an edge? And that they're starting to get a little bit of complacency. And maybe that's why I think Hunter's smart enough to look back and go, if we're on our downslide, they're not, folks. But if we all know, like, it's like this sometimes. It goes up and down, up and down.
Cyclical, yeah.
Is he trying to cut the knees cut them off at the knees before they become a problem? When they're going up, they're showing a trend of a little bit up. And the WWE's creative is starting to struggle a little bit. Because, by the way, that's why WWE sucks, was because their creative was not what everybody wanted. If it starts to come back down and AEW's coming up, do they catch them back up? No. If you gash them off at the knees, they don't become a problem even when we go down on a downslide. Did I stump you on that one?
No, you didn't stump me because I think you're right. God, I hate that sometimes. But yeah, you got me on that. They're bloated. They might be too big. It might be the time where the underdog comes, it's like David and Goliath. But maybe Goliath gets the first shot. Then it's a different story,
Yeah. I mean, look, but because we addressed, like, is it the creative and all these things, but there are also things they're doing really, and look, they're making money hand over fist, which leads us to, look, by the way, the WrestleMania stuff. New Orleans, we were all like, this was a done deal, right? Like, they're getting WrestleMania.
The Rock announced it, for Christ's sake.
In a ring, he announces that it's going there. Correct. But literally the news breaks this past week. That is not the case. Look, I don't think technically to this point, it hasn't been officially announced. The rumors all point to Vegas. Hey, we're going back to Vegas. Heath and I were having a conversation prior to hitting record this morning, and he said, the next question that's in the show notes here, does it change some fans' minds going to the same city back to back? He actually knows a friend of his who went, and he said basically his friend was like, I was looking to go into New Orleans. I have no interest in going back to Vegas.
Well, Vegas
they're not going to go to Mania.
Is a massive destination for folks. Vegas is the party central. Vegas has this. There's nothing you can't get there. I mean, I went to a game in the New Orleans Superdome, 1984. Okay, it wasn't that game, 84, 85. Las Vegas has a brand new stadium. Las Vegas has everything to accommodate everybody. Lots of money too. They got $5 million in cash and another $4 million in tax credits just for there. You don't think they're successful? They're going to give them more this time?
They were so happy with the revenue generated between all the events that they ran. Here's the hard part for fans to hear. This is a clear exclamation point onto the fact of part of the topic we were talking about before this one. This move is only about money. This isn't about your fan experience. This isn't about anything to do with a fan. If they have discovered we can make more money in Vegas than anywhere else we run, this is going to continue.
Well, I mean, Las Vegas got an NFL team. Las Vegas is serious about becoming a sports destination.
They got a baseball team.
Yeah.
The A's are going there. I mean, it's like...
Well, okay, there you go.
They have a hockey team. The Knights play there. Yeah.
So seriously, folks, if Meltzer, the useful idiot Meltzer, said that they want to be, every year they want to have a massive sporting event. And if they can't get the Super Bowl and they can't get the World Series or whatever, they can get WrestleMania, and WrestleMania like their residency there. So what's the, and until you've got those national championship level sports teams, bringing in all this attention to Las Vegas helps. And it's a small price to pay compared to some of that other stuff.
Look, you can still get the All-Star game for baseball. You can still get the All-Star game for basketball. You can still, there's still games that you can get that are like, because you're not getting, obviously you can get the Super Bowl because that's a site thing. You can get WrestleMania. You can get the Final Four. You can get, there's a lot of stuff that they're going to work their way through. Now, some sports, obviously, like baseball, hockey, they play their championships like best of 7 series at the home thing. So, by the way, I don't know if you're aware, the Knights have done some good stuff too. So there's that. Not now, but they are. So,
but if you want to, and it's also practice. This is practice for the NFL Super Bowl. This is able to put things on your resume for that. If you can host this, maybe you can host this. If you can host this twice in a row and make a ton of money, maybe this is what you host this next time.
Yeah, but here's the quick set. That's from the city perspective. From the company perspective, from WWE's perspective, TKO's, whatever. My point was going to simply this. The more people come and they keep breaking records for generated revenue, it's not going to change. They're going to continue to do it. No. We had a conversation. Saturday Night Main Event pre-sale tickets went on sale. Like, my wife and I literally wanted to go to a Saturday Night Main Event in Atlanta. We looked up the prices, and I'm like, it is not a good sign. It's not. I will tell you clearly. A guy who does a podcast about pro wrestling saw the prices and went,
in his hometown,
I don't know that it's worth it. In his hometown.
The last pay-per-view I went to was an Armageddon a million years ago in Atlanta. I have no idea what I paid for it, but it wasn't the prices they're going. And really, if you want to get a ticket, the only way to get a ticket is to buy the 2-night passes for that and the Evolution. You get a little bit of a break, but the ticket prices are still insane, Nick.
Ringsides were over $2,000. By the way, this was like when you click on the little seat on the map on Ticketmaster, it was over $2,000. The first row on the risers, row A, I guess, over $700. You back up a few rows, you're still in the 500s. I'm like, what? Like, are you kidding me? Like, I was looking, like, where I would typically want to sit, just for me and Rachel, be almost $2,000. With fees and everything, it was like $2,000.
Yeah.
I'm like, absolutely ridiculous. And look, this comes back to the whole part of me saying, are you getting patted on the back? Like, people will at some point, from a capitalist side of it, I understand. If you're getting it, get it.
Yeah.
But there will come a point when you push too hard and too far, eventually the fans will just regurgitate it up and go like, okay, that's enough. And I think they are walking a very fine line of that. Maybe I'm crazy. By the way, folks, guess what they're going to do? If they ain't getting it here, then they're going to go to London, and then they're going to go to France, and then they're going to go to Spain,
Saudi.
or they're going to go wherever. Saudi's going to get it, whatever. So my point being, get used to it. I know we had a conversation, and I looked it up because we was like, this has never happened before. And I was like, oh, yeah, I think it did to Minneapolis. Remember, they lost to the Philly for 2 years ago. Or not the past one, but the one before that. But, yeah, so it's business at this point. It's flat out of business. And if you think they should say, like, well, it'd be easier for us if they don't give a shit about you. I mean, from a business perspective, they don't care. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. They're not supposed to. They're supposed to give you a product that you like and then you enjoy and you have fun. If they do that, the business standpoint, that's sorry. That's on you to figure that part out.
Well, what if you paid for lodging on top of this? We wouldn't have to pay for lodging. We were just looking at ticket prices. What if you have to fly to Atlanta, get a hotel?
No, by the way, we wanted to. We thought it's our anniversary weekend. That's why this whole conversation happened. And we were like, hey, we'll get a hotel downtown and we'll just, stay downtown, watch that, and then come home the next day. Oh, by the way, guess what? Major flaw in their planning. Beyonce is at Mercedes-Benz same weekend. I think she's on Sunday, the night of the Evolution pay-per-view. Literally right beside each other. And I'm like, I don't even know if I want to deal with that.
Oh, wow. In Atlanta, probably the most congested place on the face of this earth, the busiest airport in the world, and you tell me they're going to run Beyonce and a WWE show right next to each other.
Oh, literally, Mercedes is right here, State Farm is right here. They are side by side. There's a strip of parking, basically borderline in between.
I would be a lot.
It's going to be crazy
to buy myself a really nice desk chair and sit right here.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see where it is. But
go to an indie show. We haven't even seen the indie shows really, announced for that weekend. What's to stop me from going into the indie show?
I beg to differ, sir. Right now, I know of 2 promotions that are running there on the calendar already. Tip your cap. They should be doing well. So I'm not getting into who they are because it's card subject to change, date subject to change. But look, I don't know. My whole point about it, I want to push it and just say, look, guys, if you're not happy about this WrestleMania, you're not the only one. Get used to it because this is probably not the last time something like this will happen. It just is what it is. But
it's voting with dollars. It's the people that give you the most money. It's the people. If you're willing to pay for this seat, you're voting to endorse it. I hate to be that guy, but if people keep paying, the prices aren't going to change.
Listen, if you're trying to spend some money, Myron, absolutely, without a doubt, I will tell you, patreon.com/tappedOutPod is a great place to spend your money. You can become a member there. And like I said, for the free memberships, you get the Georgia Wrestling Spotlight. For the $1 member, you get the show notes. $5, you get the weekly shows early. $10, you get that digital collectible as well as any content that we create early. And then, of course, at the $25 level, you're going to get that autographed, actually 8.5 by 11 photograph every month. And remember, folks, we've already told you, June's going to be 2. We're going to do 2 of them for the month of June. One of them is, going to be a real surprise. The other one, you'll figure it out in a couple weeks. Because you know what, Myron?
What?
He's gone for the month of June. I have kind of sifted through. We're not going to tell anyone. We're not announcing who it is. It's one of the reasons why you should be a Patreon member. You'll get that show early when next week we've got somebody coming in for the month of June. He's going to be here for all month. He's going to be able to give you an insight that we can't give you. He's got a different perspective on wrestling as a whole. So Well, he's just got a different perspective. We'll say that. That's for sure. So, that's everything. I know that was a lot to digest, man. You got anything else before we get out of here today, or?
No, I think that went really well for everything we had to cover. Keep watching wrestling. Keep going to indie shows. We saw people Friday that we'll see on television in a year. Keep doing it. Keep getting out there. Support what you believe in. That's it.
Yeah, I agree, man. Well, if that's it, man, what's the old saying, brother? If I've got nothing and you got nothing, what time is it?
It's time to tap out.